Hi, I'm Tony Tilli. I'm with Abbey Lynn Models in New York City. I've been actually in the industry for a little over 20 years, surprisingly. I was a child actor in New York City because I lived in New Jersey growing up. So I was working in TV and film in there. And then I went and got my BFA at Chapman University in California to become an actor. But then a year into that, I was like, let's try something else. So I worked in casting for Broadway and off-Broadway shows. And then I went back to school, got my BFA, came back and said, what else can we do? And it was becoming a model agent. I wanted to be in this part of the industry, but not in the fashion world. So it was kind of more of the commercial look, which I was more interested in. And I've been there for about 5 years with the agency Abbey Lynn Models. And we work in the commercial on-camera world. So that's commercial print and on-camera commercials. It's always something different. I always say that the work that I do is a little bit more, I respond to things that come up, and that's kind of my day-to-day. So when a project comes in, I'll send out a book or a submission to the casting director or the client. I will be reaching out to my models with different options or bookings or castings, maybe meeting potential models if we have a meeting for them. Anything and everything that basically is required to put models in commercials, and we always work with the model through the entire process. So we book the job, and then we are also working through the job with talent release and making sure that they're okay on set and doing payment for them. So we really take you from A to Z, which makes my job all different facets of my job that are different and wild but fun. So my day-to-day is a little bit different, which is what I like every day. In a new face, when I'm trying to find potential talent, definitely I'm looking for a specific look. It's kind of called an aspirational look, which means that it's someone that you might aspire to be. Doesn't mean that they are a perfect or ideal person. It just means that they are doing the best for themselves. They have nice hair, a nice smile, clean skin, someone that you would see maybe holding a Coke product and be like, I want to be like them because they have Coke. Okay, so I'll buy Coke. It's that kind of feeling. So it is everyday people in the sense that they're not, 6 foot whatever, beautiful Glamazonians. That's not what we do. So it can kind of be anyone, but it has to be a type of look that is a little bit more elevated. That's look-wise. When it comes to actual talent and ability to be in front of the camera, it's not as intense as the TV film world. We just want to make sure that you are expressive and enjoyable to be in front of the camera and watch on television, because that's what is going to make the client interested in you. So there's also that kind of easy, go with the flow kind of personality, because when you go into a casting, they're also making sure that they want to be on set with you for 12 hours. So you have to kind of have that energy to bring into the room when you meet with us as well. So it's like you have to be pretty in a certain way, but also really nice. You have to do it all. You have to do it all. So if you are a new model in the industry, the most important thing for us in the commercial print world is to have great photos. So what that means is that it's not a headshot per se, and it's not a fashion photo. It is the lifestyle commercial print kind of images. You can be standing up, sitting down, big smiles, always kind of directing it to the camera. And it can be a portfolio. So you can have 5, 10 shots in a book, as opposed to having that one headshot that has to have all of those emotions, or you're happy, sad, all in one look. You can do it in a book with us. So having multiple shots to get going is really important. We are a developmental, we are not a developmental agency, which means that we are not going to put you through the entire steps of, maybe taking a walking on the runway class or something, or we're not going to set you up with the photographers. We're going to tell you who we like to work with, but we're not going to take you through those steps. So it's kind of your homework to do, because we're too busy actually booking you on the jobs. It's what we like to do. We like to get you in front of the casting directors. So having those photos before you even meet with us is really important. A great way to find the photos that you might need are to go on the websites of the agencies that you want to work with. Those are the photos that we're using every day to submit our models for jobs. So having photos that kind of look like that in that same style will definitely be like, I'll see those photos, I'll be like, oh, they're working, they know what they're doing. Because there is such a variety of photos you could have, but having the specific photos that are necessary for the specific agencies and the different worlds, like the commercial print world, super important. And then once we have those photos, we'll probably, meet with you in some capacity, start working with you and getting you booking and going from there. After you have your photos and, you're ready to go, it's more about your availability, because things are going to be happening all the time for us specifically. I love the moments when I get to meet with a model, we decide to work with them, and that day I'm like, oh, I also have a casting for you, because that's how quickly it moves, especially with our agency. So that's kind of how we go about it. And then you have to be available, interested in what you're doing, and just be ready for anything at that point, because things could be coming in that for that day, the next week, on a Friday for a Monday. So having that availability and openness to do it is the most important thing, I think. It is so important to have a positive lifestyle in every way that you live. My personal favorite queen of country music, Carrie Underwood, once said that when people ask her, how do you get ready for those big moments, especially when she was singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, she said, I live my life in a way that if those big moments come up, I'm ready for them, because I just kind of stay ready. She doesn't have to get ready for it. She's always at that place where she could sing the national anthem at any moment. And that's the place you need to be at. Always making sure that you're keeping up with your appearance in whatever way that you want. That could mean, making sure that your hair is extra curly if that's how you want to present yourself, but always keeping yourself at that positive level, drinking water, doing whatever you can to stand out in a positive way of, wow, like they really look like they take care of themselves. It's the most important thing after being a fun person. When you're going on castings, there are definitely ideals of wardrobe for what you should be wearing. If you don't have an idea of what the character might be, always just like a solid color, maybe like a solid jean that's form-fitting and shows your shape in a positive way. Also the same with a shirt. If you're a girl, maybe a nice tank top in a solid color, or just a basic shirt that's not going to take away from you. Because when you go on these castings, you don't want to have a busy pattern that, they're gonna be like, why is she wearing that wild print on the camera? Also, there's a lot of shirts and clothing that don't work well on the camera, so always making sure that before you go into castings, maybe it looks fine when you look at it, but on the actual photo, like it has this strange pattern going on, and then that'll detract from you as well. So those are the kind of things you need to be having in your back pocket for the everyday stuff. And then for us, they're also kind of like business attire or like an aspirational look. So having those as well. Doesn't have to be like, if you're going in for like a doctor on a pharmaceutical commercial, you don't need to have a lab coat. They got it. They're good. But maybe having like a suit and tie to show that you are a professional. That'll be more along the lines of what we'll need from you. Yeah, for us in the commercial print world, we are not really excited to see the photos that are like super artsy and like, you're in like crazy positions. I mean, awesome. Throw that down to the editorial world. They'll love it. But for us, we want to see photos that are a little bit more natural. Again, with the portfolio that you're going to have all different types of photos, which allows you to kind of capture different parts of yourself, where you can do some smiling, not smiling, looking off, definitely connecting with the camera for most of the photos. I always say the best photos that grab my eye and that grab the client's eye are when you are fully engaged with the camera for the world that we live in, because it draws in the viewer, and that's what marketing companies want. They want you to draw in the viewer and say, what is she doing? Oh, she's sipping on some Pepsi. I want Pepsi. So keeping natural in front of the camera. You don't have to, show off those cheekbones. If you want to, great, but it's more about having a more approachable look in your photos. I always tend to tell people when they're figuring out what photos to give to either me or a different agency, it's like, for us in the commercial world, what would Target want to see? What if you took the photo and you gave it to, let's say one of my more recent clients is like Men's Warehouse, and you gave it to them, they would say, whoa, that's really fashiony, or would they connect to it? Because a lot of people come into us, especially, and they'll be like, this is my portfolio, here we go. And it's more artsy. It's not about the person. It's about the photo. It's about the connection to the camera, and like the person looking is not as much there. So with the fashion cover world, you can be in different angles, and it's more about the entire composition of the photo. But when you're doing a commercial photo, it's about you. You're the person that is selling the product or selling yourself in that moment for the competition. So you need to connect to the person looking at the photo. It's you. That's your important thing to be doing for those photos. If you're looking off and it's really pretty and beautiful, great. That's not commercial. And like look-wise, more every day. If you're like a guy, just a button-down shirt, maybe a little jacket over that, something that like in like the J. Crew, Banana Republic world, as opposed to Dolce & Gabbana editorial like clothing. That can also help distinct it. Like if you're wearing a shirt and you're like, would this be in a Vogue editorial? That's not commercial. So it's having those little pieces. And thinking, is this for the commercial world? Is this for Target? Is this for Kohl's? Is this for TJ Maxx? I love to go to CMTC to scout for new faces because it's like a one-stop shop for me. I don't have to, scour all over to find these wonderful people. There are so many talented artists in CMTC that are also ready. It's not just that, you're talented, but you are there because you want to do it. You are hungry. You have the, availability and interest to be part of it. So I know that I'm not going to be chasing you down. You're going to be chasing me down. Because a lot of the times, maybe I'll meet someone who says they're interested, or I'll be referred to someone, and then they'll go off on their merry little way and not really reach out to me. But with CMTC, people are interested in this, which I'm excited to work with them as well when that happens. Plus, it's just a great community of different people in the industry of agents and managers. We all get to hang out and see each other, and it feels like a little family. If you are getting ready to be part of CMTC, it is so important to take the steps now to make it a positive experience for yourself, because I know a lot of these competitions, you can be part of it and you're thinking, I want awards, I want callbacks, I want this, that, and the other thing. That's, as much as those are great things, and I love meeting talent, it's more about the experience that you have for yourself. So going in there, knowing what you want. If you go in there and you're like, I want to be a singer, who are the agencies there who are going to work with singers? Learn about them. And having that knowledge is really going to help you. Plus, going through kind of your schedule and what you're going to be competing in, and making sure that you have all the pieces that you need, knowing how it's going to flow, and figuring out those worst case scenarios. There's nothing worse than when you've prepared so well and then maybe like a button pops off your shirt and it totally throws you and the entire thing is ruined because of one little thing. So having those little worst case scenarios, having your little like sewing kit in case something like that happens. So that you are prepared, and when you get there, it's about being present and these connections that you're making with other contestants and the industry, and you're not worried about like, oh gosh, how am I going to do? You're more present and like firm in the sense that like, I know what I'm doing, I have all my stuff, got my script. If this happens, I know what to deal with it, I know how to deal with it. And like practice even when you're doing your commercials. If you're doing a commercial competition, for let's say, like practice thinking like, there are some important people in the room while I'm doing this, to make it more normal for yourself. Because even for when I was auditioning, like the rehearsal process was fine, and then I got up there and I was like, oh, there are real people in this room and they are really, really watching me. Oh boy. So to connect that into your brain a little bit earlier and to know that that's how it's going to go, and for like those scary moments not to be as scary, because yeah, like I'm going in front of them, I'm going to show them my art and my excitement. I always say, when you're nervous, turn it into excitement, and it'll really help you. And think, instead of thinking, oh, I'm too nervous to be here, I'm so excited for this opportunity. Just changes it in your brain, and we can see it behind the table as well.